Ladies and gentlemen, it's about to get plum wild. Oh, it's so good to be back. Oh, can everybody hear me? Is this thing on? Wow. It feels like it's been so long. Whenever we do like 2 weeks in between episodes, it feels like it's so long. But welcome back to another episode of the Plum Wild Podcast. It's Wednesday, February 7th. I'm Nathan Waddell, and as always, I'm joined in the booth by my best friend, Damian Kiefer.
Good morning, chat.
Tonight's episode is yet again presented by Majula C Speed Shop. Majula C Speed Shop, man, I drive for them now, and the community is honestly really great. I have a lot of fun whenever I go hang out over there. The setups are really fast. I've actually kind of started competing really well in the top split, open setup races recently again. So that's been fun, and of course that's a lot thanks to the setups that they provide. And like I said, the community is really good. There's people always in there asking questions, and there's people in there always giving answers. So if you're looking for setups or just a good community to join Majula C Speed Shop. Use code PLUMWILD for 15% off at checkout. That's code PLUMWILD. Use that code. Help support me and help support Team CFM. We got a lot to catch up on today. But first, Keith, how are you?
It's Wednesday. I'm starting to finally recuperate from last week, and the weekend, we're halfway there, ladies and gentlemen. We got 2 more days of the weekend.
That's Wednesday.
So it's not. I got a decent day tomorrow, but I think I got Friday off. So
Ooh.
I'm looking for a pretty relaxed weekend with the girlfriend.
Oh, baby. All right. I'm you didn't ask, but I'm doing all right.
How are you doing?
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm doing good. We've been just chilling. Doing as much racing and producing content as I can. So
You did host a money race.
I did host a money, but we got to talk about that. But
Yeah.
You know what? Before we talk about anything, I want to go ahead and bring on our special guest, Colin Bokus. So we will be right back with him. All right. We are back with our special guest for this episode, Colin Bokus. Colin is one of the best big block builders and drivers on the sim, as well as one of the best trash talkers. We go way back from both of our early days on the sim. You don't see him much on iRacing anymore, but he's an absolute legend. He's one of our closest friends, and he's been on the podcast before, but we figured it's time to let him have an episode dedicated all to himself. Colin, welcome back to the Plum Wild Podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, not so much a big block legend anymore. I'm kind of washed. I've been
more of
every time I get back
overall.
in there, I get waxed pretty good. But yeah, man, it's good to be here. Good to see everybody's doing well, and good to have an episode where we can just kind of BS like just a regular Discord night.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of, like we've had you on, I think twice maybe before, but it was you never really had your own episode. And I brought you on early here in this episode because I kind of wanted you to participate in our usual talking points of, what's happened since the last podcast. And I didn't think about it, but there's actually been a decent amount that's happened since the last podcast. If we go chronologically, the first thing that I have written down here is the Sprint Car Pro Series finale at Charlotte. If you didn't see it, ended in a tie. I mean,
how do you make that up?
It always seems to come down to the last race with the sprint cars, and it did with the late models last year too, but it just seems like the sprint cars are like always coming down to the wire. And I think Avila finished third or maybe even second. He got second, and Forster did not have a great night, but he had such a good points lead going into it that they ended up tying, and then he wins the tiebreaker because he won one race to Avila's none.
The week prior.
Yeah. Well, 2 weeks prior, I think.
Was it?
I think. It may have been like 3 weeks prior. I don't know. It was
Oh,
it
maybe.
was.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's plumb wild. I mean, a tie. That's fucking wild to me. So Forster wins, but those two guys. I mean, that's that Speed Shop 51. Those two guys. I mean, they were absolutely
One,
the most
two.
consistent the
One,
entire
two.
year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So congrats to Aiden Forster and to Avila. They both had a great season. And Bergeron, 5 wins, right? 5 wins, won half the races, finished, I think, 4th in
third,
points.
4th. Yeah, I
I
think he
believe
broke
Rumsey
last race.
he did. I believe Rumsey leapfrogged him in that last race, and Rumsey won the race as well. So
And it was funny because the broadcasters were like, they like Rumsey won the race, right? And like
yeah,
they weren't even saying anything after they were like whatever the points were, and then like,
yeah.
oh yeah, and by the way, Logan Rumsey won the race.
Yeah. And
So
what I thought was funny, and I actually commented this on the YouTube video of the stream of the finale, was that first was Rumsey, right?
Mhm.
Second was Avila in the race. Third, I don't even remember, but
beer line.
yeah. So, and they interviewed Rumsey and Forster, but they didn't interview Avila, who finished second in the race and in the points. And I thought that was a little weird. And I don't know exactly why they wouldn't interview him, in that scenario. I mean, they usually do 3 interviews after the Pro Series races. So
Yeah.
I don't understand why they didn't. Maybe he declined. I would be pretty torn if my own teammate, like if me and Kiefer were 1-2 in the points and we tied and you win, like, but I had a shot at it as well. Like
Mhm.
I would be very, torn, bittersweet, as they say. So
think
I thought that was
for
weird.
anybody, yeah, for anybody that watched the race too, like a lot of things went Forrester's way. And don't get me wrong, he was
Yeah.
still good, but when they panned back to him, like he missed that big wreck early on, evaded very well. It was very patient.
He got lucky in the
there was a
heat,
couple
too.
times, yeah, that he didn't junk completely, but
Yeah.
like in the feature, like he was aggressive, but at the right points to be aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
where he knew his aggression wasn't going to cost him per se. It was very smart racing out of him. It was one of those things where you tell people when in like a 40 lap race, and we think in iRacing that 40 laps isn't a lot, and obviously they were 30 or 35,
35. And
but he was still very patient. Like you'd watch him fall back in line, wait for his move, and just played his cards as good as he could. And I mean, Avila couldn't have set himself up in that race any better, other than winning. I mean, he played patient too behind beer line for all those laps and made that pass with 2 to go. And that was a battle of what I would consider 2 of the best cars in the series the whole season, besides Bergeron. But I mean, that just goes to show that consistency is going to win you championships. I mean, you got a guy that won 50% of the races and wasn't even in like a shot.
right.
Like they would have had to have not shown up for him to even have a
Right.
prayer to win. So like,
Yeah, we talked about that on the episode the episode
2
before
weeks
this
ago.
one. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. The why can I not talk? The episode before this one, the previous episode.
Mhm.
Yeah. That Bergeron won 5, and yeah, he's still so far back. Like that just goes to show how much more consistency, is important in the Pro Series whenever everyone's as good as they are. So.
right.
Wild sprint car finale. Then I think what did we talk? We hadn't got to talk about NWRA last week at Fairbury.
You guys ran in that, yes.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't even really remember that. I think we finally got a reset, and so the track was a little bit more racy.
Did you guys get an invert last week too?
No invert last week.
We got the invert this week.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then so we had Charlotte was Monday night, and so I wanted to practice for Charlotte, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna throw up a little money. Like I decided whenever I was at work and I get off at 4:30, I was at work and I was like, I'm gonna post that I'm gonna host a money race whenever I get off, and I posted. I was like $50 out of my own pocket. We're gonna throw up a money race, and it started like people were like, okay, cool, and I was like, it's free to enter. You know, there's minimums of like 2,000 iRating, D license, all that. And hell, by the time it came time for the money race, like I'm getting money sent to me, like put this towards the purse, and it ended up being like a $320 purse or something like that. And a lot of people signed up, and Talon Willis ended up fucking dominating that thing, bro. Like he won by 5 seconds, I believe. And he
Where was that at? What did you say?
Charlotte,
Charlotte.
because it was practice for, and like I used all the weather settings and everything.
Yeah,
The only thing
yeah,
that I fucked up was that I don't know if y'all saw the UI, like everything got reset in the UI.
Yeah.
So like all your preferences and everything. So the track started at a generated, percentage, and I didn't uncheck that to make it start at 0. So we had to reset for qualifying. Anyways,
Not a fan of the UI still. Still hate it.
Oh, stop.
Yeah,
It's
that's all
miserable.
I've ever used. So I don't understand.
It's so nice, especially if you just put it in the grid mode where it does boxes, just 3 boxes across
I don't
the top.
like grid
and
mode
it shows you
personally. But you can set so many preferences. Like I have it to where it only shows me ranked things, only shows me races, only shows me stuff I'm eligible for, like stuff like that. Like you can really customize the UI. I don't understand. People just don't want to adapt. That's what it is.
Yeah, everybody's so used to the old legacy website, so they're like,
Dude,
yeah,
the website was goated.
Dude, I couldn't stand the website, to be honest.
You're an old man yelling at a cloud right now, Kiefer. Like that's what you are, with your sunglasses on and the mustache. God, I hate looking at you.
I'm releasing my inner Toby Keith.
R.I.P.
Got a
Toby.
glass
Rest in peace.
I got a glass
Rest
of
in
whiskey.
peace. Rest in peace,
I
Toby
should have gotten me
Keith.
some whiskey. So
Pinky's
Talon Willis won, and then believe it or not, he's I don't know if y'all know, he races in real life, and he has a YouTube channel similar to like a lot of the real life YouTubers that race, like Hunt the Front, of course. And he was talking in his most recent video about how he won a $200 money race on iRacing. His dad's like asking him about it, and they give a big shout out to me in the video, and he was like, yeah, it's Nathan Waddell on Twitch, and he does the podcast. And I think his dad was like, oh yeah, the Plum Wild podcast. And I was like, his dad knows about the podcast. That's fucking cool. So anyways, Talon Willis won, and then that was during last week. I also want to bring up, I had a Facebook reel that kind of went viral, dude. Did you see that? Did y'all see that? Like,
I did.
Is that the one with Kiefer going off the track?
Yeah. Over 80,000 views on that thing. That's crazy to me. I cannot believe that.
I told Nathan that I said I'm famous for being an idiot.
That's just like typical Kiefer, though. He'll be like, he gets so confident in something, he'd be like, yeah, watch me rip. And then it's either in a wall, off the racetrack, or upside down. And you're like, yeah.
I think he used up all his talent in turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, like it's just
that's what it is. Before we talk about round 5 at Charlotte for NWRA, I know Kiefer is super excited to talk about how East Bay went for him. Kiefer, you had what, 6 or 5
days.
6
days in a row.
6 grueling days at East Bay. Tell us about it.
It was long 6 days, dude. Actually, I met a few people. Got to see a few iRacing people, which was cool. Mario Perez, Photo Goat. Hit him up for the raps. Him or Jesse Wall do all the raps. They're the best.
Jesse Wall is the best fucking painter in iRacing.
No, but got to see a few guys. First 3 days, man, brutal on me. We did not have a very good race car first. I mean, we did, but we didn't. Got like to the top 10 in the features. Just got behind someone that got wrecked, or just wrong place, wrong time, nowhere to go. Then Thursday came around on the second points night. Finally pulled cat out of the bag. Had a good heat race to the number 8 car, and got second there. Made it through the show, which was just like huge.
Are you talking on Thursday?
Thursday night, making a heat race. Or
what did you
heat race.
What did you say in your post after that? because
Dude,
if y'all haven't seen
the Nathan
already,
Waddle quote.
if y'all haven't seen already, the we made him a page. Me and Kiefer sat down and made him an official racing page. So if you're not already following, look up DQ
Check it
Speed
out.
on Facebook. Follow the page. Give it a little follow. But he made a post after Thursday night after he finally kind of got the monkey off his back at East Bay. What was that about?
Dude, that's racing stuff's frustrating. It's just grueling on you. Yeah, and down there, like that was the hardest I've ever competed ever. I mean, there's a lot of good guys there. Not granted, there's a lot more guys at Volusia this week, but there were still a lot of really good cars down there, and definitely no slouches. But to compete with those guys and to run with those guys, the where the level you have to race at and the level your car's got to be tuned in at, it's just crazy. And it's a big awakening, and it's very grueling, and I was very lucky to be able to. We figured it out. Or I wouldn't say figured it out, but we made a lot of good ground. Made a few friends down there, some connections. Help get us some speed there Thursday night. And then we progressed all week. Kind of after that, Friday night we didn't make it. We won a B main bandit. We did win a race at East Bay.
Shout out Lyndon Winfield.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Shout out Lyndon Whitfield, the
but-
B main bandit.
And then, so Friday night, drove from the back up to, I think I got up to 8th, kind of choked, stepped on it, ended up 11th. After a top 10, I think I got 9th Thursday night, which I was stoked about. Put us like 13th in points.
You were in a much better mood after Thursday night.
My biggest goal was just to make the show on Saturday, the big race, and it put us 13th in points, which was huge. I got a slice and dice with Kyle Strickler. I crossed over Strickler and made him look silly, but he did eventually pass me. He did pass me back.
You were.
He did pass me back,
dude. The first thing that Kiefer sends us. The first thing that Kiefer sends us after that was, "Did y'all see that shit?" And then he sends a video of it. Like, we saw it, bro.
We go into 1 and 2. It's like a little iRacing deal where this guy wants to clear Hayu because he's trying to screw me up in it. Like, he wants to enter in the middle. He's starting on the bottom. Like, I get it. The bottom sucks to enter. So he kind of shoves me up a little bit. So I just let him shove me up. Back it up in the corner in 1 and 2. In a display, you can kind of back it up really early. Backed it up and just gassed it. Split between 2 people and made it 4-5 wide down the back straightaway and passed 4 cars in one corner, or pretty much like one straightaway. And
it looked awesome.
I had the biggest stiffy in the car. I'm like, I was like, and then Friday night we made some pretty cool moves, and just being able to race your true like racecraft with those guys was just really nice and like a very rewarding. Like, you're on the limit with those dudes, and you have to be perfect, and you can't, but you can trust them one another to run their line and to not push out on you, and kind of their awareness levels are higher, which I haven't been able to race with a lot. So that was kind of, I wouldn't say it was easy. It was kind of easy starting to get in the flow with it. It struggled with me for the first 3 days, which being in the back, which isn't always the greatest. But once I got racing with the good guys, I feel like we can almost compete, and that was just a crazy feeling. And then Saturday rolls around. Starting front row outside, heat 2, tracks at his fastest. Dude, I'm thinking this old Peterbilt Johnny Vote motor that I've built in my grandpa's shop over here. I'm giving her the beans.
But the thing is, you starting outside front row, taking 2. Yeah.
Taking 2 to make, yes.
That's a key detail you left out.
Yeah, so top 2 make it. I'm starting front row of this deal. So, and I equipment wise, I think we're good. I go into 1 and 2, take the lead.
You had a really good restart. You had a really good
start. Restart. He slid it. Like, I even lifted. Like, he hit the gas. Like, we both I went at the same time. I hit a really good restart, but it was kind of predictable. He was smooth. Dude, it's so much easier to restart in real life than on iRacing. These guys are squirrels. They can't even fake it or anything. But I kind of jumped his start, and he just spinned his tires because he was down there in the slime. So I lifted so it didn't look as bad. And then I saw his car like fully launch, and I just gassed it, and we had traction, son. Went into 1 and 2, didn't really crack the throttle, and that was just, before like going into that moment, I just want you guys to know this, chat. Like, I know I don't really say I get nervous in a race car, but just once I was once the race started and I hit the gas on the restart, nothing else. I had no idea what happened. I couldn't tell you what I did. I just know I went through there as hard as I possibly could. But before that moment, Heat 2, like in a big night, it's not World 100 feeling, but it's almost World 100 feeling for me.
Yeah.
Like as a B mod guy racing with these A mods, it's Saturday night. Not everybody's watching. I know there's other late model races going on, but I feel like a lot of people that were watching
Everybody at the
Modified World.
track's watching.
Yeah, then I had a few the iRacing guys there, and you guys
I
at
was
home
watching.
my supporters. I put a lot of pressure on myself to do it. Then we led half the lap, kind of got slid coming out of 4, and he parked it on my nose a little bit. I had to lift, and then going into 1 again, I lifted. I shouldn't have lifted, but I was worried I was going to drive into his butt, and I got tight, and I got passed
Mm.
for second, and I
Yeah.
was sitting third
I was-
outside looking in.
In that moment, I was like, oh shit, no, this can't be happening.
I'm just gonna say it was like the awakening. I mean, you could kind of see it. Like once I jumped the cushion, I watched the video. Probably couldn't tell you how many times, but
Yeah, too many.
I've watched all the videos all week. That's another thing, people watch the film. Watch
Yeah.
the film. But no, just I never lifted once I jumped it, came back, got on the bottom, and that thing. I mean, I was full tilt there. It's just full dig, and that thing, the race car was really good, and able to get by it. We made the show. Started 13th.
But before
We
the
were right.
start, what happened before the start?
Oh, okay. All right, chat. For the start of the race, going out here pacing. I'm swerving these. I'm getting locked in, strapping up. I'm like, all right, we're about to go. We're about to do this little wave hand gesture deal, parade lap. And they say 0, Damian Kiefer, front row, inside. We're doing a 4 wide. And then like 17, Chris Wilson, I think it was his name. Front row, outside, split apart. And when they said Damian Kiefer to the pole, I was like, that was my best Des, I don't know,
That's
Des
right.
reaction there.
That's right,
Nah,
driver.
dude, I was smiling grin ear. I was looking over at Strickler. I was like, "Remember me when I crushed you over the other night? Yeah, I'm back, baby." No,
Dude, there was
just
so
to be
many
there
people.
just to be in that moment, like the front row at pretty much the biggest race at East Bay this year. That's gonna happen there. It's last year. Pretty cool deal.
There was so many people that were. I say so many. There was a couple, 3 or 4 people that were at that race that had been talking to me about being there watching you. That sent me a picture that they had taken of your car rolling around there
on the 4
wide.
I got so
was
many
like, man,
videos
that's
of
so
that thing
cool.
rolling. I told Lyndon Whitfield I'm gonna put it on my ceiling. Actually, just me, just me and Strickler there. I mean, we duked it out the night before, so I had to naturally.
So 60 lap feature, correct?
75.
75 with a midway break.
Midway
caution.
break.
How were
made
you?
it to
How was it going for you?
made it to the midway. I learned a lot about patience this weekend and just getting the car under my feet, just making smooth laps and just being there, making your marks on like restarts, and just kind of being there because those guys don't make very many mistakes at their level. They don't really. It's very, very. I've learned that you got to be damn near perfect, and every slip up they do make, you got to go. And that's
It's like Pro Series on iRacing.
Yeah, and yeah, it was. We made it. We made it to the break. I was thinking 14th, 15th at the break, somewhere around there. We had a decent car. I went with a hard tire choice, and there was a lot of the other guys were on a soft tire. And I knew that going into it, I was going to struggle for the first half of the race just with a harder tire. Had the restart, past 4 cars, and I felt really good. Like that right rear tire was still under me. It was better than before, and it kind of was starting to come to me. I got it hot again. Then we had a yellow, and I was rolling down the back straightaway. And I feel like before this moment, I was thinking in my head, we got a top 8 car for sure, which is crazy to say at that level. And if I was like if I could hit my marks at that moment, I say that it's in the moment, of the heat of the moment. I don't know, but on that, I know what that car felt like there. We were digging again, but rolling on the restart. I sheared a bolt on my center link, and both of my tires went, and I
Out.
had no control of either of them.
Uh.
And I was like, this ain't good.
Dude, so let me tell you something. Whenever I was at the aquarium, whenever Kiefer was racing, and so I was watching from my phone, and I think we were sitting there in the
You
cafeteria.
have to see me pull off somewhere because like, it was just going.
Well, what happened was we were in the cafeteria and I'm watching, and Hannah's watching with me, and they restart. No, this wasn't at the aquarium. We were already left the aquarium. We were eating, and so we're watching, and the restart happens, and then I see a car that is just immediately off the pace, and I was like, well, I hope that wasn't Kiefer. And then everybody goes into turn 1, and then the announcer goes, I believe Damian Kiefer's off the pace. I'm like, well, shit, that's him. And so it was unfortunate, but
I felt like we had a really good car. I learned a lot this weekend. Learned a lot.
How would you rate that whole week in experience at East Bay on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'm gonna say this: I got every ounce of East Bay I could because we got there at 10 o'clock damn near every day and did not leave till 11 o'clock every day. At least 11, 10 to 11. We were there for 13 hours at least every day, and then. So I got my full experience. East Bay's sick, dude. The racetrack's tough. As a driver, it's two like 3 is as hard as you can go almost, and then you're backpedaling, and then 1 and 2 but 3 you're entering sideways. You're never stop turning. 1 and 2 you got to throw that sucker in there, and it better stick. And that corner is really hard to get off of, and you can make a lot of ground up. You can make a lot of ground entry of 1 and entry of 3. Like that place, you got to be freed up on entry a lot, and you need the traction. That place gets slick. I didn't really hurt tires, but I know a lot of guys were hurting tires down there, which could be also play a factor. But a lot of guys, it's hard to get grip down there. A lot of guys spinning. It's definitely a very, very difficult track to get a hold of and to drive. It's definitely a drive. It's not anybody can win there. I'll say that. Like that's a tough racetrack.
It was just really cool to see you there, and it's always fun watching you race.
Dude.
So
we were just stoked to compete at that level. To even compete at that level.
Yeah, I was super pumped for you, and it was
3 lane.
The old 3 lane.
Oh yeah, Mario 8. We did eat like kings at East Bay.
Yeah,
I mean, I had the Blackstone going on weekend.
Mm.
I made some fire fried rice one day. Mario was asking for that for 5 days.
The fried rice, dude.
Yeah.
I love me some fried rice. So switching gears here, Colin. We always ask everyone on the podcast. So I gotta ask you. I want to know how did you get into sim racing?
COVID. Probably like a lot of people did.
Yeah.
Stimulus check. Got the $1,400. My buddy Hunter pretty much told me everything I needed to get that would put me in the baseline, and ended up starting off that way. Obviously, long racing history. Old man raced from 2003 to 07. Had a guy drive for us in 08. Took a break. Me and my little brother did kart racing in 10 and 11. Then I got into a car in 13. Ran from 13 to 15, and then my brother ran from 2016 to 21. So long history. So obviously it's been in the blood. Obviously done it. Been around it my whole life. Obviously the Northeast mods, coming from New York. And I was like, and Hunter was like, yeah, man, you got to get into this. Like, I think you'd be good at it. I think you'd do well. So yeah, I just ended up getting into it then, and obviously 2020 started off. I was running like limited late models, pro late models at most. Back on the old tire model where it was far
good.
better than what we have now, in my opinion.
We were
And
in
then
a
they ended
league
up
together.
changing. Yeah, we started off. That's how we met in
Yep.
old. Was it Chuck's league?
Yeah, it was
Allied?
Chuck's. It was Allied Pro Late Models. That was the name of it whenever we were there.
Fixed. And it was fixed.
Fixed Pro Late Models.
Ew.
And it was Eddie Farnas's peak in iRacing.
Yeah, it was
with that league.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, he would win like every week. Him and his brother Dale would like fucking dominate every week.
Yeah.
And we were so goddamn bad. And I remember the reason me and Nathan met is because Nathan had no racecraft back in the day.
Okay.
And and we were like 3 wide, dude. And I was like, he like pinched me down on the wall. So I slid up into him. And he got squirrely. I don't know if he spun out or just lost positions, but we were fighting for like 6th or 7th, dude.
I feel like it was further back than that, honestly.
No, we were actually doing pretty good. And we got into it, and he messaged me on Discord and was like, dude, what was up with that? And so we went over. Did we go over the replay? We might have run over the replay, or just kind of like talked it out.
It's been a while. I could look back through the messages.
But we talked it out, and then I think it was Allied still is when the big blocks came out, and I was doing fairly well in them
immediately.
And
of course,
yeah, I mean it's our car, so and obviously I had Tyler's help, and Tyler was the head of the ball than over everybody else. So, I was running what he had, and you were like, hey man, like, can you get me somewhere? Like, I'm trying to get good. And we're like, yeah, I was like, fuck it, I'll start a team, whatever. Like, it was basically you were the one that like started the whole like team aspect, and then CJB Speedworks became a thing. And then Butters and Caleb, and then Ramsey at that one point. But I mean, that's kind of how it all started. And then now we go ahead 3 years, and you're way better than I am, and everybody that I've helped is way better than I am, and I'm just a washed up guy now. So
you bring up a good point. That I'm way better than you. No, I'm just kidding. Not that one. The CJB Speedworks deal, like, the whole CJB deal was the first team that I ever joined, and you're right. Like, it was I remember we were running those big blocks whenever they had first come out in that league, and I was like, these are really fun, but there's something that I don't get about them, and I asked you, I was like, I got to thinking, I was like, maybe I should get on a team. Like, that would help. And then I asked you, and you were like, fuck it. And so, so we go way back to those CJB days. And is there anything that you kind of, because a lot's changed since then, is there anything that you kind of miss from those early days? Because even though I'm obviously better than I was then, now I am, like, there's still some aspects that I miss from those days. Nostalgic.
I think it was less toxic back then. It was far less toxic. The setup shop game wasn't as prominent as it is now, and I'm just as guilty of it. Obviously, we started Apex, and we were a part of that deal. So like, it's a two-sided thing. But just back then, it was so much less toxic.
It seemed like a simpler time to me as far as like the racing of it.
Like, people just went and raced. I feel like everybody can't pass without dooring the piss out of each other now. Everybody's so mirror driven heavy, and it's all for these posts, and it's like, man, you ain't winning nothing off these posts. Like, the only time that this shit really matters, like, when truly,
money on the line.
If you're racing Spring Fling for $6,000, that matters. If you're racing for a league that's paying out $2,000, that matters. If you're trying to go out and just get posts for officials to make $12, man, trust me, and I've been there, it ain't worth it. And that's why I got out of it too, was I'm getting my phone blown up all day long because my name's on a car, and I'm having to deal with someone get doored 30 times a day over $12.
Right.
Like, this is not worth having to answer to 20 people every day. Over what?
Right.
Dude, they start every 2 hours. Just go run another one. It's the people that are on running. It's the people that are on running 20 officials a day that are crying that they lost 20 iRating. You'll probably gain 200 back by the end of the day with how much you run. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like, and just because they have my logo on the car doesn't mean that I'm a babysitter. Like,
Well, that's what Hauser said. That's what Hauser said.
I'm
Like,
a
people
big
don't
boy.
go cry to Longhorn whenever an XR1 guy or whenever a Longhorn guy takes them out. Like, that's just not it.
Dude, I'm a big boy. I had a job. I'm fucking getting blown up in my job. I'm trying to work. I got these people crying. They're calling me on Discord, calling me on Facebook Messenger. It's like, I don't got time for this, man.
I
Like,
still get
don't.
messages from people. I see somebody like puts like somebody the other day they put DQ speed on, or somebody had DQ speed on the car. I don't even know who it was, but somebody had on the car like, "Hey, dude, like this guy's wrecking me," and they're texting me. I'm like,
That
I
was
don't know who
probably
this
my
is.
fault, actually. It was probably Andrew Clark trying to contact you.
Is that who that was?
If I had to guess, if I had to,
Oh my god.
if I had to
Okay,
if I had to throw a guess out there, I do still have DQ speed on the car. You even said it yourself that you've brought up a lot of guys. You brought in a lot of guys on CJB, and over the course of CJB, Ryko, Apex, even after Apex was no longer a team, you've really helped a lot of drivers grow. You seem to have a really good eye for that talent. So I was wondering if you have anything that you kind of look for as kind of a key thing that you look for whenever you're spotting potential in a driver, kind of like you did with me whenever you were like, all right, well, this guy, I might create a team just to have him on my team, kind of thing.
I mean, and it's not a shot to you, but at that point, I wasn't really like eyeing talent. I've never really like eyed talent, to be honest, and like tried to. I've always been a big advocate for. I was lucky enough in my life to be granted the opportunity to do this in real life, and a lot of people don't get that opportunity, and this is the closest they get. So if I could take any knowledge that I have and any advice that I have to help people have fun on this thing, then that's what it would be. And so I just kind of use that, and I've brought people up, and I would say if I had to put like just two off the top of my head that have been, I would say most successful would probably be you and Ryan Conrad. And because and Conrad was a funny one, because when we were on Ryko, Ken was like, I don't want him. I said, that's fine. You don't have to have him. Like, I'm taking him, whether you like it or not. And then obviously I had left like 2 weeks after, and I had just brought Robbie onto the team as well, onto Ryko. And they were like, and Ken was like, well, I'm going to keep these two and you can go on your own. And I was like, okay.
Good luck with that.
Like, I'm gone.
Fucking, as soon as you left, we all left. I remember that.
Yeah.
It was like, Colin's leaving. Yeah, I'm probably out of here too. Like, well, it was very quick for me. I think Ken probably knew that too, that it was coming.
But yeah, I mean, I've never, and I've always, anybody that really knows me knows that I've taken the back burner on my own, like, cause I don't have any great, flashes of success or anything like in this. I mean, I've won some leagues. I won quite a bit of races. I think I'm still right now, until Durgan or Clark is probably going to take it, but I'm still the NWRA big block leader all time.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's always been trying to help people get better, man. I enjoy watching people be successful and seeing people come up and eventually be better than me and have learned from me. And even if it was just a little bit, even if it was racing advice, I think I've been the biggest advocate to, and all you can attest is patience. I've tried to teach everybody.
Almighty.
It's patience.
I think the one word that I've heard Bokus say the most outside of, like, I don't know, maybe dink or something like that, is probably patience. Like, you've preached the word patience, and it really, even Kiefer says it. Like, we've learned a lot from you, and Kiefer knows what you're talking about. Whenever helping someone out and they end up better than you, it's the same thing with me and him. Like, he's helped me out, and look at me now. I'm so much better than him.
And I think the thing is,
you make the race Monday night.
Me?
I got wrecked in the heat, brother.
I was gonna say, oh hell no, I didn't. I was dog shit.
Dude, I was digging in the feature.
But
But I know,
anyway,
like,
Last time we raced supers, you had you still haven't beat me. Like last 2 times we raced each other. That's all I'm saying. I'm
well,
saying
time before that.
Knoxville
Okay, fair,
and Charlotte. So
fair.
that's two. That's
No, it's
because I
fine.
didn't race supers. So that's the last two.
That's fair. No, that's fair. It's fair. That's fine.
I mean, there's a laundry. I mean, I've seen some people in the chat, even T Clem, he's on Elite now, but I mean, we had that recruitment race and picked him up, and
Yep.
you know, he's became quite a wheel. I mean, he obviously he's a little bit of a hothead, and I know he knows it, but you know, the kid can wheel, and um, you know, so there's been a lot of people, and I've just enjoyed helping people. My personal success has never really been top priority. I go race. I mean, now I don't care as much as I used to. Obviously, I used to be very devoted. Apex was my baby. It always will be. I spent a lot of time into that to help it be what it was, no matter what people thought of it. So just helping people has always been great to me. And like even our run in Pro Series, you know, even the little bit of help that I had, um, in that was awesome to see, just being able to be in that environment and see your guys' attitude turn around and the drive pick up and the confidence pick up. Like
Yeah.
that to me is more fun. I'd rather, you know, spend 6 hours a week, 8 hours a week testing to watch you guys do well in that than I would to go build an official set and go win a 5,500 SOF that literally does nothing for me. And so,
Right.
you know, that's, like I said, that's, and the people that know me will know that that's the truth. The people that don't, they can say what they want. They don't know how much time I've invested to help others have fun in this shit
It's
and put myself on the back burner for it.
it's crazy. Like if you really think about it, you've helped. And I know Kiefer has too, but you've helped so many people like kind of get to that next level. And it's really like a lot of people. Myself included. So my next question is what's something that you can tell people that are watching or listening to work on? Like, what's one thing that you would tell people to work on to take
That isn't
themselves
patience.
that isn't patience to take themselves to that next level in iRacing?
Find yourself a group of guys, and I think the biggest problem is, and I see it in Discords all the time, people are just like, put me on a team, put me on a team, put me on a team. You're not gonna just get put on a team because you're asking. You have to earn it. You have to go out there, race respectfully. The true people that have these teams and have their name and logo out there, they're gonna want respectable people. If you're going out there enduring the piss out of people and driving like a dick, you're probably not gonna get a team. Get with a group of guys. It doesn't even matter if they're good, if they're in your range, above your range, whatever. Get with a good group of guys that you like to hang out with and have fun with. Because at the end of the day, we're doing this to have fun, and that's what it should be. Um, get with a group of guys you enjoy being around, and then whenever you're in officials, try to get in them top split officials. And when you're done with the race, go watch what those guys are doing up front. The biggest thing that I've had to teach a lot of these people that I've helped has always been throttle control. And throttle control, oh, and the one big thing that I'm a proprietor for, turn on your fucking Delta bar.
Yes.
I don't care if you like it in your screen
Yes.
or not. Turn on your session last lap Delta bar and it'll show you where you're messing up.
Yep.
If you're going 2/10 in the green and going 2/10 in the red coming out of the corner, you're driving in too fucking hard. Get off the throttle and be a little more consistent. And I didn't even pick that up until
Did I tell you?
I
Was that me?
I used to watch someone run the Delta bar all the
It was
time, and
I've ran it ever since I've started because that shit is
Me too.
mint.
it might have been, but either way, as soon as you turn on that Delta bar, because that's going to tell you where you're messing up. And then it can tell you line changes where you're going to gain in a line change if you're losing. Like if you go try a slider and you're 3 in the green, then okay, I should probably keep running this. If you're 3 in the red, probably go back to what you were doing.
Yeah.
So
Or
Delta
like
bar,
the Pro Series level, we're looking at like half a tenth to
God,
not
I'm
even a
just
tenth.
looking to make that thing either go all the way this
Like
way or
point
stay
three-
right there.
Point three,
Yeah.
I'm bricked up, dude.
in the green.
Point three, point like
Oh
point
yeah,
point
yeah.
Point zero
Yeah,
three.
like
Like
three
if
in
you
the
get
green, you're
if you get
you're
point
like,
zero
that's a
three
whole
in the
different
yeah.
race car.
Yeah,
baby,
we're
like,
That's a whole
ripping.
different race
We're
car at that
ripping.
point. But yeah, I mean that's that Delta bar will, and it'll help you with throttle control. But throttle control is one of the biggest things that people struggle with. And each build, it seems like it's changing a little bit in each car. Like even I'm struggling in big block. I ran yesterday at Knoxville in NWRA, and the way I was driving it was
I
how I'm
drove
so used to
by.
driving.
Dude,
And
you're
well, no, I got drove by because it locked down to the bottom after that restart. I was doing all right, doing slider,
yeah,
but
I
then
definitely cobbed.
I got bamboozled after that
I
fucking
said
restart.
sorry while I was going under you. I was like, I'm sorry,
I was
Bogus, but
I was
I'm not
like,
giving you your spot.
dude, I was in like ninth. It didn't even matter. I was just trying the top to see if I could go bang the boards down, and it was still slow.
I
But
thought you were gonna dump me that one time. It was close.
oh, the slider in 3 and 4.
Yeah.
I want to scare you a little bit. Trust me, I have the awareness. I'm all right.
I
To,
was like, oh fuck.
to what you said about the teams, like what you said is so true. Like, and I think it helps more than people realize that if you join a team that, like you said, doesn't even have to be a bunch of good racers, as long as they're around your skill level, if you have a team that you have fun hanging out with, what you can do that I think is underrated is
But just in
is
surrounding-
make laps with those guys and just have fun in practice. Throw those crazy fucking bombs at each other, and that's how you get practice throwing those crazy bombs at other people. That's what me and Kiefer talk about all the time. Like, we practice together sometimes. We used to a lot more, obviously, but whenever we practice together, we would drive so hard, so much harder than we would with anyone else, and that allowed us to drive on that crazy edge, and 2, practice racing at that edge with someone that you can trust. And then once you get that practice in, which is fun whenever you're just doing it in practice with your boys in Discord, like, oh, you believe that fucking slider I just threw? That was so close. All right, let's rip some more. Like, that's the good practice that you need, that people need to do, and you don't have to be on some crazy big name team with the best of the best to do that and get that kind of practice in.
Right. And it's kind of like what me going. I mean, the East Bay, just just competing with them, just racing with them, just to improve me and my craft. Like, just, and it's same when iRacing. Like, yeah, you might see official with 18 guys in it or something, or you see it posted with like 10 or 12 guys that are really, really good. You're not going to win. You can't really compete up front yet, but you can you got to go race with them. The only way to get better with them is go race with them. You can make fast laps all day, but you got to go out there and you got to race. And then once you can learn the race craft and the art of racing, that's when you'll start seeing success and just understanding what the other person's doing before they're to even do it is kind of what you're doing. It's just
kind of know what to predict. Yeah, exactly. Know what to expect.
And the only way to do it is experience.
Yeah,
in my opinion, you got to see it.
I wouldn't even and it's harder too because like when I came out, a 2500 I rating put you in top split. I still remember my first 2500 I rating. I had just hit 2500 running limited late models, right? I get up. It was pro late models at Charlotte. I get in the lobby. It's Blake Majulis and Zach McSwain. I was like, oh, I lost by like a lap.
Yeah.
And so it's harder for you got to have a fucking 6,000 I rating to get in top split in these late model races now.
But like some of these hosted, you catch some of these guys, or like leagues. The leagues is a big thing, is what I try to push. It's like, yeah, you may not like. There's some guys, especially like in NWRA, you'll see like kind of the numbers dwindle through this half the season because guys give up. But I get why why they gave up, kind of not give up or just stop carrying. But in order to get better, you gotta race. It's only you just have to do it. Like, it's gonna suck.
Making good practice and everything.
Just as long as you learn one thing every night, that's all that matters.
Dude, well,
you just learn one thing. If you can just learn, okay, next time I'm not going to do that. Or this time I can do this. Oh, I can actually try that.
Well,
just build confidence slowly and just make laps and just,
dude,
open your horizons and understand and be, rewatch film if like you think you'd wreck somebody.
Dude, so you remember the Bokus? You remember that one time that we practiced about 500. We all turned about 500 laps at Kokomo, practicing in big blocks for NWRA, or not NWRA, it was Allied. We weren't anything special. We weren't like we were decent to good at that time, but we made so many laps and we made so many laps together where we could critique each other. We could race together. We made I probably made so many great strides in just that one practice session. Like seriously, and I remember beating you by like 7 seconds in that.
And guess what?
League race, by the way.
I put probably 1,500 laps in running the bottom to never get beat like that again. And now I can run the bottom almost as good as anybody. So, but again, I was the one that was supposed to be teaching you. You taught me I suck racing the bottom.
Well,
I put the time in and didn't.
I taught you where the top was. I was up there banging the boards for 50 laps.
Yeah, but it was like you were gonna get either or. Like we tested both. It was gonna be like top or bottom. But I was dead set on running the bottom that race because like fuck it, like I need to learn to run the bottom because I got waxed there in another league race, and I was like, yeah, this ain't happening again. And so now, but yeah, it's just those practice sessions, and it comes down to I see
they were fun.
Well, Drip and Rip he posted in chat and said the hardest part of getting good at iRacing is the grind. And that couldn't be more true. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Calavota. Yeah, and it's true. I mean, you look at what it was. I'm just gonna take Big Blocks for example. Ducharme. When Big Blocks came out, he grinded. Guy was unbeatable. Then it went to Conrad. Conrad used to put in more laps than anybody I know. I could go on a test session, and if I was a half a tenth faster than him, he was on his computer making laps and laps and laps until he beat that lap. And then I'd go out and do it again. And then he would go and test. And that's why you watched him win 13 openers in a row. You're not, and I even said this last night when I ran Knoxville, I ran Charlotte. I don't expect to be up front. I'm not putting in the laps that these guys, got guys running 10 officials a day. You do get rusty on this shit if you're not on it every day. Yeah. And, that's like Andrew Clark. He's probably the best big block guy right now. Him and Durgan are probably the two best, but they're spending the most time. They're building setups. They're testing. They're doing this. I can't expect to, no matter what my past is in big blocks, I can't expect to go out and dominate these guys and be at the top, one of the top guys like I used to be. Like you can't have that wild expectation. You're never gonna. It's the same as real life racing. If you're not spending 10 hours in the shop on the scales like the other guy is, that guy's gonna smoke your shit, and it's gonna show. It's the same thing with iRacing.
But the thing, like you said though, is like Calavota said, like you're not gonna be shit if you don't grind, and that's true. And that can be discouraging for some people, but where you find the positive in that is a way to make the grind fun. And that's with what you said, being with a good team, a fun team, a group of guys that you have fun in enjoying that grind. And that's why I say I look back at those CJB days in a positive way. Like I was having fun and I was also getting better at the same time because we were practicing so much, but we were having fun while doing it. Like I look back at those days as nostalgic because it was fun, and I was getting better I don't want to say so quickly, but I was getting better and it was fun at the same time. So that's good answer on that short question,
Yeah.
So let's see. There was something else that I want. Oh, so you raced in real life. You said that earlier. Is there any desire there to race IRL again?
No. I got my head rattled a few times.
Clearly,
probably wouldn't be smart to. Yeah, clearly, like I got a messed up mind. My girlfriend tells me it all the time. She's like, I don't know how you come up with this shit. I was like, listen, I definitely got my head rattled too many times. And it's just messed up. So like, I don't know what to tell you.
Oh yeah, the concussions aren't great.
Yeah, and I never got them taken care of, and I never took them seriously until my brother ended up getting in a bad wreck, and I had to drive for him one week during our championship run, and he was like he was in tests, like he had impact tests every like month or two, and like, dude, like I blacked out during one of them, and I knew I got rattled pretty good, and I was like lightheaded for weeks and weeks. I never took care of that shit.
Yeah,
and now I get like headaches and migraines like every once in a while. Like I'll be at work or something and just a sharp pain on the side of my head. So for all those that do the iRacing, man, if you rattle your head, get that shit checked out. Like, it's no joke. Like, make sure you take care of yourself. If it means you sitting out of the car for 2 weeks, do it, because it ain't worth the pain afterwards. But I mean, if I did, it would have to be the right situation, the right thing. Other than that, no, not really. I do enjoy, especially now, like I enjoy, most people know I've told you guys, like I've been getting into the wing stuff on this thing.
Yeah.
Whole new challenge. I'm getting my ass beat by like 10 seconds and it's a blast. Just because it's something new. I've done the big block thing, been one of the top guys in that.
You beat McSwain in a late model one time, so you've accomplished everything that there is for that. So now you're going for the sprint cars.
Yeah, I mean, I know how to drive a late model. If I spent enough time like these guys building sets like I used to, I could probably compete. But now sprint cars is just it's a whole new thing, and it was something I kind of wanted to be versatile throughout the sim and in the dirt side, and that was one thing I always talked about, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get into sprint cars, and I do it for like
I've
a week,
heard
and
it
then I
so
was done
many
with it.
times. So like this time I just didn't even believe it. So you're running sprint cars. That's a good segue into the next question that I have. And we kind of talked about it in the last episode, but I kind of want to get your thoughts on it. So it's kind of thoughts on the current state of iRacing dirt. You said it yourself just now. You do big blocks. You can run in late models. Now you're doing sprint cars. Like, what is your opinion on the current state of what we have on iRacing in dirt? And that's including the racing itself, not necessarily the racecraft, just the racing, the tracks, and the way that everything. It's not really worded right, but the way that everything works together as a whole. Like, what's your opinion on it? Because in my opinion, I think there are several things that are good, but there are a few key things that need to be adjusted in order to get us in a good state.
So I think tire wear wise, we've gotten somewhere. Obviously we went from the last patch where if you went under 80%, you started to feel fall off. And then if you were like 70%, it was like dog shit. Now it's like 50%, and it takes you a while to get there. So like, I feel like the tire wear is good. I think, and they're making positive steps, is just how the track wears. These pre-gen officials and tracks are just not it. And like you said, and I noticed it a lot last night in Knoxville, everything seems to get rubbered down when there's rubber in the middle. So they're missing something in how the track wears. I think they went from it wearing too quickly to now it doesn't. Now it's more accurate, but we don't have 7 divisions of classes running 400 laps on it to wear it in properly.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a happy medium that needs to be found there, and I've always been an advocate for not trying to shit on them, because all the coding and stuff they have to do, I would look at that shit and be like, yeah, all right, whatever. Like, what?
No,
And like, so like the people that go and bash is like, you're not gonna get anywhere. You need to give positive feedback.
Right,
As a community, everybody needs to be positive and have like the same like positive criticism, and not just go at Tyler Hudson's throat.
Right.
When it's not that easy. Like, there's a lot of shit that goes into that.
Right. People think it's just okay. So tire wear is not good. It's too quick. All right, let's just move this slider a little bit. Like, it's not like that. They've said it themselves. It's not like that. So
I think.
No, go ahead.
So what I was gonna say, like car wise, I think late models are probably the best car right now with how you drive them, how they feel, traction wise, everything. I think late model is the best car. Some people will agree with me. I think sprint car is probably the second best. I really like how the sprint car drives. You really have to. You can feel grip when it's there, and you feel when you don't have it. And then big blocks would be great if I didn't have to go half throttle in the fucking mud, because I can tell you what, I drove in real life and I set a quick time at my home track, and I can tell you what, I didn't lift off the fucking motor plate. So you are not convincing me that half throttle is faster than full throttle in the mud. And if the big blocks, if they fixed them to drive in the mud like they do in real life, I think they would be just as good as the rest of the other cars. But until that point, I think it's horseshit that we have to go half throttle to run a fast lap and have your foot basically with an eggshell under it just to set a quick time. And how they race in the slick is fine, but
so it's like it was
Yeah, they
on the
do.
last
In the
build.
slick, they do race fine. It's just, yeah.
Because that's how it was on the last build, like before the refresh. Like that's almost exactly how they were on the last build. You were throttle controlling it in the tacky, you were throttle controlling it in the slick. One thing that
I was just curious if they ever changed like the tires. Like, did the late models get a different tire? Like, because the late models changed, but it feels like the big blocks got the old late model build. And
it would have just been if it was
I
that.
don't
It
think
was
it
just
works
the
like
big
that.
blocks were just still on the original build that they had because they've always driven the same. So because when we had that late model build where you had to drive the car straighter than fuck, it was because we were on the big block tire. When they introduced that tire, that's what they put all the other cars on.
Or I guess they're still on the big block tire, if that would make sense.
They are, and I think the sprint cars and late models are on something different because they don't drive nearly like you used to.
The thing,
so maybe there's a upcoming
tire,
possibility.
I would hope so. I think it sounds like the issues that I experienced the most being a mainly a late model driver. It sounds like the issue isn't necessarily with the track in the issues that I see. It's more with the tire because I feel like we have too much grip in the slick. And I brought this up on the last podcast. I want to bring it up again. I remember on the build before the refresh, even though I had been a pro and I felt like near the end of that build, I was at the top of my game, I still felt like I was struggling in the slick. I did not feel very comfortable in it because it was hard as hell to drive in the slick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look, I know I'm decent at this game, but I find it way too easy to drive in the slick right now. I mean, why in a late model, why do I feel like it's so much easier? It's not like I got that much better that quickly. I don't think everyone else did either because no one else seems to have this, they all seem to be doing just as good in the slick as I'm. Like something is making it too easy to drive in the slick. That's but it seems kind of late model specific, so it might be a bit of a late model thing, that in their tire model. But then also on top of that, I think something in the visuals of the track doesn't match with what we have on, grip wise. Something that I've brought up before is that whenever I hit, like, say you're at Knoxville, right? And there's that little bit of grip right next to the berm on the inside, and then everything above that is slick, right? Why is it in NWRA at Knoxville, it was faster,
more grip.
It was faster to run through the slick than to do what I was doing for a lot of it, which was getting my left sides in that grip, which is what you should do, and yet I'm getting pulled. And I know I'm doing it really good.
Night. That's what, like, whenever I was passing Bokus, if I was in the mud, I was slower.
That's where I almost, it might sound
what
weird.
What looks like grip is not, is what I'm saying.
Well, I almost think it's almost like the cars are more right rear dependent than they are left rear dependent. And that would add up to why, because you're right. If you're rolling around the bottom from a guy that's, and obviously there's circumstance, right? If the track has 1,000 laps on it and people have been running through the middle and it does rubber down, all right, that's fair. But we're only getting maybe 100, 150 laps and we're latching through the middle. And that would tell me that they're laying a lot of rubber, but we're not getting a lot of wear. So something in that doesn't add up. Because if you're laying down that much rubber to latch it down in 150, 200 laps, you should have a lot more tire wear than just 80%. You should be down at like 40.
And
50,
let me tell you something.
You know what I'm saying?
Let me tell you something. I don't know if this is what you just said, but I'm gonna say it in my way. You will wear a tire out more in a dirt late model on iRacing, you will wear a tire out more running through
In the
the
mud.
tacky in the mud than you do in the slick. Something's not right there. And on top of that, what you were just saying,
I think it's gas pedal related. I think tire wear is gas pedal sensor, like a sensor related.
yeah,
Honestly,
something
because like
maybe,
how much you're in the gas.
yeah.
Because like whenever it's slicker, you don't wear as much tire. And in the gas, I think it's like that. But that's not real. That's not really how it adds up either, I guess.
But
But that's kind of the algorithm that I see
because
in a way.
I don't know. I noticed it like at
Because you save tires by just driving it super smooth and not on the gas. And
so,
you're roasting the tires by just driving the car naturally, I feel like.
but the other thing that I was gonna say is like at Knoxville, like the grip just doesn't match with what you're seeing. Like you have this slick that's taking up 3/4 of the track from the bottom to a couple of lanes off the top. Why is that faster to run through that a lot faster than to be in that tacky stuff? What looks like tacky stuff up top, full pin.
NWRA, we could like the top.
The top
no.
still looked like it was there in NWR, is what I'm saying. But we were
Right.
all rolling right down, in the slick.
I know my car was broke there, but like I was rolling right there through the middle. Same line I'd run in qualifying.
It didn't make
like
sense.
the line, like in the heat race, I ran that line. And right through the middle, right through the slick. Like the top, you could run the top, I guess, but you could just run the same line all night. Like it just grips up in that one spot. Like, well, I noticed it. I don't know if it's coincidence, but somebody caught on to it the other day whenever I was testing and asked me why I had my driving line on. But it seems to me, I know I may be letting the cat out of the bag here.
Go ahead.
The track rubber's up right around that driving line.
I think you're horse. I think it's horse shit.
Look it up. Just
look it up.
Look at it. Not look it up, but like look at it. I know it's Charlotte. It's a little bit lower in 1 and 2. Than what the actual like where you would be. I mean, it's just a little lower, but like Cedar Lake, Knoxville, a lot of the racetracks that we've raced in NWRA. When I go to my test sessions and like Lanier and like I know Lanier is going to be obviously, but a lot of these racetracks, I could be wrong, but it seems to me that it rubbers up, and that's what I've been kind of testing, and I've been pretty decent. And that's what I kind of tested, like to get at Knoxville, was just test the driving line, and
you may be onto something.
I could be wrong, but that's what I noticed that the other day. I think it was Robbie who's like, "Why do you have the driving line on?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know, just trying out a theory of mine." But
all this talk about go ahead.
I just think I just brought it curiosity to me. I'd be curious if anybody else checks that around.
But you bring up we're talking about the rubber, the rubbered up effect. Single
whenever
line whenever it's slick, and we're talking about it in late models. And I know that both of y'all have been running the big blocks in NWRA. What's it like in those? Is there a lot of rubber up happening in those, or does it feel a little different? Does it actually feel slick? Like what's grip is actually grip, or what?
I mean, it's rubbered up. I feel like almost every week.
Really?
In the big blocks. At least the ones that I ran.
What do you say, Colin?
It's just feels like they find the most momentum in the slick, and you can keep the car so straight and almost stuck the whole time in the slick in a big block because you're already not in the gas a lot. And if you can just keep it, like, you don't even have to get, like, I've kind of passed cars throughout the field every night. Like at Cedar Lake, I ran the middle right through the slick the whole time. And was pretty good. Had a really good car until me and Andrew got into it, and I slid back and I kind of drove back forward still, but I never even touched an ounce of traction.
I mean, I think like last night, I kind of realized it pretty quick.
Do we think the cars have too much grip now? Like too much right rear grip?
No, because last night when I was doing slider line, I literally felt better going through the fucking slick, and as soon as I got up to the cushion,
you didn't want to touch it.
It was, dude, it was like my ass end just like went out from underneath me. But I could blow it in balls deep into the bottom, and just stop the car, like get off the gas, and it was like it
Stop.
caught. It would just catch.
Yeah.
And then it would just let me go back down to the bottom and drive off. And I was watching my Delta bar, and I shit you not, I was full throttle coming out of the slick, and I was gaining.
So the question remains, is it
Are we just
tire?
that stuck?
No, is it tire? Is it car? Or is it track? You know, because like I don't drive sprint cars. There's a handful of things on dirt that I don't drive, and I don't know how they react in the slick. So it just seems to me that the slick just does not feel slick enough. The slick just has too much grip. And that's kind of the point that I've been trying to drive home in my streams and these podcasts and
I
forums.
think that's
I
why
made a post about it.
The 2020 build, why everyone loved it, because you could run the bottom because the bottom had grip.
Yeah, if you hit it.
If you could hit it, yeah, and that's
And
fine,
if you were really, really good at rolling
like
through
at
the slick, you
Charlotte-
could. But that was a
like at
talent.
Charlotte, yeah, and the Charlotte, like last night, like I hit the bottom really well a few laps, but you'd hit it perfect, and then you'd hit it this exact same way, like 2-3 laps, and it just progressively gets worse and worse and worse and worse and
Look,
worse.
I brought it up in the forums, and you can go check it out if you want and give your thoughts on it. I made a post in the forums in the iRacing forums, in the Dirt Oval general discussion. One thing that I brought up in there is I've actually been looking back at. I've been kind of bored at work. I hope my boss isn't watching, but I've been kind of bored at work sometimes, and I'll go back and I'll look at the old forums from like before they moved to this new forums, and you can go back and you can look at all these old forum posts from the time Dirt was announced until they went to the new forums. And so I was looking back, and apparently there was a build that was released, I would say probably 2019 season 2, so like March 2019. And one thing that I noticed was the initial reception to that build was, holy shit, the slick feels like ice. And guess what? Everyone loved it. The slick felt slick as ice, and everyone loved it. And it just doesn't feel that way anymore.
No.
I feel like the reasoning why, I could be wrong, but it's so it eases them into it.
Dude, it's feeling like Call of Duty casual. Like they're just giving everybody, like they're just making it easy for everybody.
It's not. Yes, it needs to be more talent based.
Yeah, because
Like,
I mean,
you
even,
should.
I
mean,
know.
like,
I feel like the talent
look,
saying it.
let me point something out.
Because you can drive the balls off these things all night. You ain't doing that
Like
ever.
I
mean, if your car is really good, you can kind of drive it really hard, but you're not. No.
Look, I want to point something out. Last build before the refresh, the slick did feel very slick to me in the last build before the refresh, and it was very, very slick. And who dominated really in the last build before the refresh? What two people dominated? In the slick. They dominated in the slick. They were better than anyone else running through the slick, just about. And not saying they're not dominating now, but their talent and their laps put in shined because there was a skill gap in running the slick. And now I feel like it's just too easy. And I know I'm harping on it. I just keep saying it. I'm probably just rewording the same statement over and over again. But it feels to me like if they would just make the slick feel more slick.
And I feel like that's why you get to see a lot of these younger kids get on and get fast right now too. It's just so easy to go fast right now. Like I got on the other day, like in Knoxville. I made a few. I mean, I did test a little bit, but I made a few laps. I ran second, but like the car drove itself, dude. I didn't even literally lift.
And it hurts the racing too because you don't have to search for the grip. You don't have to really try to get that little bit of extra grip, and you hit that extra grip, and you get a good run.
Racing right now on the dirt side is too user friendly, and you need people on the lower level. It's okay for them to spin out in the slick and not have traction. Okay.
Yeah.
Like the race car is not good enough. They're not good. Like that's the whole point of it. You don't want to. I get they're trying to get the racing probably closer
You
and
know what?
more competitive, but that's not. Yeah,
Something
Well,
that no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I also think there's two big things that contribute to that. One, I think they just went opposite to opposite with grip and are trying to figure out what is best. So they have to obviously test it for a patch, see what
Right.
it does. I think because we went from having no grip to all the grip. So now I think there needs to be an adjustment to put it in the middle. I think there needs to be a certain laps amount like ran before it starts actually latching, like more realistic. Which you
Like
shouldn't
what it
see.
is.
You should not see that unless we're in like NWRA, no reset, 100 lap race,
At
lap
like
60 or 70, it's starting
right.
to. That would, to me, that would make sense for latching. Um, the other thing is you don't need to have talent because these setup shops will make you talented, and we can
This is
ignore it if
also true.
we can ignore it if we want. If you have the money to go spend, I know
Yeah,
what these guys are putting out, and it's basically
it's good
drivable on its
stuff.
own. So like
I
you
kind of disagree. You still have to drive it. You still have to drive it. In my
Yes.
sure, but
opinion.
it makes it a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah.
Sure.
Driving a setup that isn't as good near to like yeah, no, it is
Dude,
really easy to go
dude,
get online and go fast right now.
dude, if I'd had this when I started, I probably would have been a lot better, a lot quicker too. But also, everybody that knows me knows I'm too stubborn. I won't go buy shit. I'll just do
Yeah.
it myself, and I'll fail and fail and fail and fail and fail and finish 10, 10, 10 before I figure it out. Just
Yeah.
because yeah, I've done it, and
Yeah.
whatever. But
Y-
I do think that does play a part, and I don't care about any of these setup shops. They're whatever. They're doing their own thing. I did my own thing when we had it, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's obviously when you start getting involved in their shit because some kid that races 50 officials a day and can go out and just drive through you because he's better instead of just passing you. That's where it starts to get irritating. But I mean, I think that's something we're always gonna have to deal with anyway until they do away with mirrors and make people learn how to race. But I don't
Yeah.
think we're gonna see that
Hey,
either.
I did at East Bay, man. We were 3-4 wide a lot of times, and we didn't really touch and bang, and no one really killed each other. No
Mhm.
mirrors.
And that's just you have to have the right class of people, the right group, and there are people that can do it. And I've
Well,
been in
I
some
think
really good
everyone.
races before.
I think they just need to like. I get the NASCAR side of things and some of that. They just need to bite the bullet and do it, and just you got to fucking deal with it.
Yeah.
I know people are gonna bitch, but you
Well, the
got to deal
problem,
with
you
it.
talking about mirrors,
Well,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. The problem is we've had them.
I feel like
We've always had them. That's the
I
problem.
feel like what they need to do on the dirt side, be in A class racing, needs to get away with it. I think that would be fair and civil.
Yeah.
Even if you did just A class,
Or
just the
even
top, that would be like the top pinnacle besides
right.
Well,
PWC.
there's
So like,
nothing. Are you talking about like the drivers can't have the mirror or like the A class races? Because there aren't any
no,
A
A
class
class
races.
races,
It'd be a
They don't.
B.
There
It'd
aren't
just be
any.
B. It'd
There
have
but
to
they
aren't
be
any
should
A
A.
make it so
class.
they would be A. Like
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
like
I
four
think
tens would
I
be
think
A.
I think open
Supers would be A.
410s and yeah, I agree. But
Yeah, like that.
the problem, like I said, the problem is that we've always had them. But back to the real quick, one thing I wanted to relate here.
But
Back to
to
the
fix it would just be to yank it. Like
Yeah.
Nathan doesn't want to
Just
have this
rip the-
conversation
and-
because
and
he would
not
have
give us
lost
a
the
choice.
rip the band-aid off. No, I would. I'm not opposed to having no mirrors as long as it's a universal thing. Like Kiefer said, rip the band-aid off. Just fucking, we don't have them
do
anymore.
it.
There is a couple of problems with it in that there's everyone. I would say 99%. Well, maybe not 95% of the people on iRacing Dirt are racing on a single monitor. The audio isn't as good
That's
as it
great.
should be in order to make it good. But
Right.
overall, I think we could adjust given time. It would just suck at first.
But what's funny is, dude, I just see it time and time again. I was in WRA last night in the big block. I hope he's watching. He's probably not. But there was a guy that was mirror driving me for 15, 20 laps. I know he was.
Mm-hmm.
I know he was. He ended up fucking himself because he's mirror driving him. And every time you're mirror driving, you're gonna screw yourself over every time.
I mean, the trick that I
Just
did
drive.
the trick that I did to make it easier on me to stop mirror driving back in the day was I made my mirror smaller. You can do that in the app file.
You can, yeah, but I watch these guys whenever they start looking in the mirror, you lose speed immediately.
Yeah.
I could watch it, and like he was on the guy in front of him's butt, and I was catching him because he was being held up. And as soon as I caught him, he separated from him because he was trying to block me when all we had to do was just try to pass the guy in front of him.
It still does drive me nuts that we call PWC drivers the best in the world and they don't yank mirrors off of them. I'm
Yeah,
not.
that is
Like,
true.
it's just like I don't see how that's a
We
case.
tried it. We try and it may be better now because we've had
I
time,
think
but we tried it,
I think it would be
in
better
the
now.
exhibition
It's
race
just-
and it was not good.
Well, people just they were driving over their
People
heads
have
in
no
that
perception
exhibition
because
race,
they're
though.
used to having perception out of a mirror. That's why.
It would, but I mean, I think
You
it
have to
might
turn
be
up your
worth the
volume.
try
You
now.
Well, like you can't have your headset in Discord and somebody blaring. You can't have music blaring in a real race car, dude. You got to
True.
focus.
But
And to
And
your
the
thing,
only person
Nathan.
that's coming on is the radio.
Hold on, I got something for Nathan too.
Here we
We
go.
cannot use single monitor excuse because in an IRL car with your fucking Hans on, you don't got more view than a fucking
Yeah.
single monitor.
Hey,
That's
if you
about
get
all
the-
you got. You
you
got
get
what
the
you got
Simpson
here
on-
and your peripherals and maybe this. That's about it. That's all you got for movement.
Hey, did you
Oh,
see my
wow.
TikTok that reel I posted?
Did you see Keeper's reel? It's
No.
like that look left, but well, he's not. You posted it in iRacing Dirt Talk. Bokus is in
Talk,
an but
yeah.
he's like this is what I imagine the look left button does in real life or something along those lines, and he's racing at East Bay, right?
Yeah.
And he's going down the track like this, and he looks like that real quick, like actually in his car. That's the look left button. It's pretty funny.
Oh, you're a clown.
I run the Simpson deal. That like the hook. It's like that clip on and hook on deal.
Yeah.
And I run it
too much
loose.
movement. Yep, there it is. I knew it.
I do run it though, and I'm in a full containment seat, dude. Like, but
Well, I'd hope so.
here's the deal: I don't look left a lot of times. I'm killing that dude. But also another nice thing I found out. I hope UMP. No, I'm just kidding. UMP ain't watching this. I hope
maybe
UMP
you
oh,
shouldn't
maybe.
though. Maybe you
No,
shouldn't.
but it's fine.
Okay.
So like they changed the sail panel rules on them. And as I already know, I ran a really massive sail panel last year, and there was like, well, they finally made a rule on it, but I still sit the way I sit. I can mirror drive in my real car now, dude, because I can turn around and see all the way behind me because I sit so far forward. I can look left, and I could literally like. There was a guy that was like at my left rear quarter panel behind me on entering 3 and 4, and I turned around and saw him. I kind of could chop his nose. So
Well, that's the
that
thing.
was
That's the thing too. People just don't understand racecraft. That if
right.
the guy's running the same line 3 lines or 3 laps in a row and then randomly changes the line and you make contact, listen, I based it off of what you've been doing. If you decide to
Right.
change because you see me changing out of your mirror, I don't give a fuck that I wrecked you. You
Right.
shouldn't have moved. I'm
That's-
basing it off of the fact that
Well,
you
yes.
ran slider for 3 laps. I'm gonna run the top and then cut down. If you decide to cut down all of a sudden coming out and you get junked, I'm
That's on
sorry.
you.
Like that's on you. I don't give a fuck if I'm behind you or not. And without a mirror, you don't know that I'm doing this. So like,
Yeah.
Right.
That happened when one of my biggest SOF wins was at Charlotte in Pro Late Models. It was like an opener. It was like 6,800, and I was running second to Hauser, probably midway, a little before midway in the race, and he had been running top. Like the whole time, I'm running middle, and I was slowly catching him, and then he just one corner, he just decides to come down, and we make contact. And I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. Like you were, I was expecting you to continue running your line.
yeah, that's the
kinda
thing. You're too nice. I don't know why you're saying sorry.
Well, I didn't.
That's
I
his
don't know if
fault
I.
for
I don't know if I
trying to
said
cut
it
you
in.
off.
I don't know if I said it in the race, but
That's
yeah,
why I've always
kind of.
That's like the people that'll run their mouth in race and be like, "Oh, you did this, you did this." I said, without a mirror, you don't know I'm doing it, and you don't know racecraft, so I don't really give a fuck what you're telling me right now.
Right. Well,
To be honest, I
A
don't.
lot of these problems start on iRacing. A lot of the bickering starts because people are looking in their mirror like, well, you were about to do this. Well, you would have never known, and you wouldn't have cock blocked me like a jerk and a jack off.
Like I'm not gonna call off any names, but I'm sure Damien watched it last night. Every guy mirror driving the fuck out of me, using all the fucking racetrack. I went up top 1 lap and just stayed there, like I had a run. Went up to the top next lap, passed him right back in the fucking slick. It's like if you'd have just ran your fucking line instead of watching what I'm doing.
That's what I did with my guy. I was just like, I got to run on the top, and then he went to the top, and I immediately went to the bottom where I knew it was better.
It's a guy that says he never mirror drives, and it's like, you're not using 3 lanes of racetrack like that every other lap to tell me you're not driving out of your mirror to keep me behind. Like, sorry. So I'm just smarter, and I'll go try something that I know is good enough to keep me there to move you out, and then I'll go take your line. Thanks, dude.
Well, I think you talking about another thing with the racecraft. People, and there's a great video that if you haven't ever watched it, look it up. It's tips or advice from iRacing World Champion, and it's David Heilemann screaming into his mic for about 25 minutes. And the main thing that he preaches in that video is taking accountability, and that's one thing that people in racecraft specifically is they don't take accountability
at all.
They want to always blame anything but themselves, and that kills your own experience, really. Like, that just, you have to be able to take accountability for your own actions and things that happen on the track. That's one thing. Last question that I have for you here, Bokus. Are you gonna go for pro in anything this year? Are you gonna try to run late models? Are you gonna try to run sprints? Try to go for pro in either of those?
Oh man. Unfortunately, with my job, I did switch my days off, so I'm not gonna have Mondays off. So I don't think I'll be able to run qualifiers unless I work out a deal. If I work out a deal with work to just get Mondays off and have another day off for the run
6
of Pro
weeks.
Series, I may, and if I do, it will be in sprint cars.
So
because the state of late models right now is so toxic that I just don't really feel like putting myself in the middle of it. Obviously that's my opinion, but I've seen enough and raced enough, and the bickering between the setup shops has gotten out of hand, and I don't really feel like going and running pro qualifiers to deal with a little pee-pee swing competition for
gonna
nothing.
Be fun.
And everybody says the sprint cars are so toxic, dude. I've been in probably 20 officials, and I've heard someone bitch twice. So I don't know where they say that it's so toxic.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's way like, and it's more challenging to me. I would feel more entitled if I made something like that coming from, I told everybody that, I bought the M9 setup guide. I think the M9 guys are great. I've had a couple test sessions with a couple of those guys or one of the guys, and he was great, gave me great information. I've been using the setup guide and just learning. And I've been running with some stout competition.
M9.
I ran
Who's M9? Is that Timothy Smith?
Timothy Smith, Tyler Shell, Kenny Miller, all those guys, Noah Carpenter.
Timothy Smith, is that? Yeah.
Timothy S. Smith.
Yeah, Timothy Smith. Okay, yeah.
They've been great to me, and basically I just said, hey, I kind of want to learn, and can you just give me some tips? And I've been using that setup guide religiously and just working, and I've got the Q speed and heat speed dialed in. I ran a 5500 and finished second in a heat and qualified 5th to pro guys like Forrester, Avila, Hoffman. So like, it's just, I don't expect to go in there and win these races. Obviously these guys have a lot more time. I was running Lernerville last week and watching these guys run the lip. I'm like, yeah, I don't got that. Sorry. Like, these guys are sick in the head. They're hanging half the right rear off and just blowing my doors off. I was like, all right, you got it.
Yeah,
I'll stay back here and finish 10th. So like, but yeah, if I did, I think it would be that. I think the only way that I would do pro or late model pro is if I was on a team or something where I didn't have to build setups, because I don't have the time for that.
That's kind of where I'm getting to the point of, is to just starting to, like, with the racing season starting and Pro Series coming up.
Like, if I'm honest, like even if I started to like build and do okay in sprints, I would probably send a message to M9 and want to see if I could get on their team for sprints. So, yeah, I burn myself out through all the years of building, and it's fun right now for sprint cars, but I'm sure it'll get tiring, and I'm sure I'll go to M9 and ask for how to become a team driver or something, just so I don't have to worry about sets and I can go out and drive. It's just, I've been doing this shit for so long and put so much time into it, and I just don't have that time anymore. Obviously the girlfriend, I like to spend time with her, and
These
And
girls are a lot, dude. They ask a lot of us.
that and just moving up to a management position at work and just working more. So like I
Congratulations.
thank you. I don't have the time for that anymore. I don't have the 6-8 hours every other day to devote into building setups. So yeah,
All right,
I mean
well,
that's we might.
we
see.
might. All right. Well, Kiefer, you got anything else for Bokus?
No, not today. We always appreciate talking to Bokus, and
Yeah.
he's a good friend. He's taught me a lot
Yep.
throughout the years, and
We've been
taught you a
friends
lot.
for a long time.
We've been around. We've seen a thing or two together. All three of us have seen a thing or two together.
We all went through the Ryko nightmare, so like it's a bond that can't be
Hey,
broken.
I was gone before that.
I
You
know
got don't.
you went and kissed Evan on his pee. I know. Went to VLR, left all your friends. We know.
I had to go. I had to go. I had to do it once.
Yeah, you were good too. It's funny.
That was back whenever I was. Yeah. Well, I had a lot more free time. I raced how many officials, dude?
Yeah, you were in
I was a
everything.
You had
demon. I
like
was just racing.
1,000, bro. It was ridiculous.
Dude, the Ryko post was just DKeef. I was like, holy God, this guy don't get off the game.
Yeah, that was back in the grinds.
Yeah,
Back in the good days.
it was fun
Well,
back then.
Well, Colin, thank you so much for coming by for another episode. This one fully dedicated to you, our great friend Colin Bokus. I guess the only thing left is to allow you to give any shout outs if you want to.
Just thanks to everybody that's always kind of been that supported me and always had my back and known that I always had the best interests of others and everybody. And I've always been a big advocate to help people, and I'll still help people if they want it. I mean, I've still helped people. So even when I got my free time, if I can help people, I will. And I hope that, I get a little more free time here and I get to run in a little more and just been having fun and enjoy. But just thanks everybody that's stayed true to me and been real to me. And I'm always going to give that same thing back. So you two, especially, and all the other guys, Nick Roberts, they did a lot for us with Apex and stuff, him and Tanner Branch. So thank you to them. Other than that, man, it's just me, myself, and I basically just having fun now.
Hell yeah, Colin.
Absolutely.
Hey, appreciate you coming on, my man.
Thank you. Thanks for
All right,
having me.
We'll be right back. All right, that was Colin Bokus. Another great episode in the books. Man, we talked to him for about an hour and a half, dude.
I know. It's good catching up with him, just talking.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him. I mean, I text him every once in a while here now. He helped me out yesterday with some setup, give me some dig in the big blocks. He's always out there for help.
We go way back, dude. You know?
Yeah, he's been around for a while, and he's competed at a while. He's never really, yeah, he hasn't been ever won anything flashy, but a lot of his guys have came through the ranks. So,
I mean, like we
not a
talked
lot of
about,
it.
he's literally brought up so many good drivers. I mean, he didn't necessarily bring you up, but he did help you whenever you needed
Yeah.
it in whatever it was, and
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
really brought me up, and then of course you came through and got me to that next level in late models. But I mean, without Colin, I should have said this while he was on here, but without Colin, I don't think I would
He's
be
like the
where I'm
greatest
at.
stepping stone teacher that you could get.
Yeah, truly. I don't think if I would have never messaged him, maybe I do get to this point that I'm at now, but it would have been much further down the road. He really kick-started and really like turboed my
Drive.
my drive and my skill level. And like I said, you definitely took the reins and kind of almost finished what he started, I guess you could say, and on the late model side. But he's just
he just wasn't on the late model side as much as much as I was.
True.
You wanted to be in the late model world, and that's where me and him
I always wanted to be in the late model. So we got what do we got next on the schedule for you in real life? I'm sure the people want to know that.
Currently rebuilding my car, waiting for Mario to finish on a new wrap.
Ooh, you gonna post about that on the DQ? You gonna post a teaser of it?
We'll see.
I'm not saying like right now, but you will, right?
Yeah, eventually. But the first race will be Toilet Bowl. down in Clarksville, Tennessee, which is first weekend of March, I think.
Hell yeah.
Be racing. Well, I'll be in the B mod.
Back in the B mod.
Just
Looking
gotta
for
change.
redemption.
I just yes.
Last
Looking
year, I remember watching that. I think you went quick time, didn't you?
quick time the
Quick
first
time?
night.
And
In the heat race, I was checked out.
mhm.
Right arm hit the kill switch.
Thing died. I was like,
I
no,
was
what the
pissed.
hell? But you had a
Then
hell of a
went-
drive through the field in the feature.
Started dead last
Dead
and came to
last.
5th
Yeah.
at Clarksville in 15 laps.
In
That's
15
wild.
laps, that was the crazy part. On
I passed
Clarksville, which is this wide, which is just barely wide enough for 2 cars to go, or at least
That's at least
the
I was at
racing
least a car
surface
lap.
was. Like there
Yeah.
was a little below where the real racing line was,
Yeah.
but
We actually just ripped the kill switch off now. Like you can twist it, but it doesn't have the big red knob. It's just got a smaller knob, so it's a lot less. And I did move it
harder.
in a different spot. We're redoing the whole deck in the black car, and then blue car.
Old
we have
Blue?
another car. Old Blue is
I ain't
no
heard
longer
about Old
blue.
Blue. Okay.
Old Blue is naked.
Old Blue's naked.
Completely naked. We're building a new cockpit, an interior at the moment. She'll get a new
Sweet.
deck.
So when do I
She's
need to
getting
come
ready.
out to get test fitted to sit in it?
We're hoping to have both of them at Clarksville.
Sweet. So do I
So
need to
I
fill
could-
out any paperwork to be able to race that? Because I know
We
I
might
got a
be
suit.
testing Thursday night.
Thursday night. All right, I'll show up to that to just get help get the car dialed in with some laps.
I'm just gonna say this now. You ain't testing the race car at Clarksville.
I don't think I would want to after seeing it, bro. I want to try a little easier track first.
I try.
track
Clarksville is an animal of its own. It is
Yeah.
the 3 and 4 is the hardest corner in racing because you enter downhill and it's super tight on entry, super tight. Like you gotta, and then the center of the corner there's no grip, and then on exit it's uphill.
It looks weird. It looks
like you're driving
It looks
uphill,
almost
like-
as weird as 411 did, but 411 just looked nicer and a little wider. But the weirdness of it, I would say they're both equally weird.
The banking in Clarksville is just you're cranked downhill on entry and 3. Like 3 and 4 is the goofiest corner in racing. I think it's the hardest corner in any racetrack.
Yeah. So that's the plans for the real life next race.
Yeah.
We have NWRA round
going
6
to Cedar Lake.
I want to say Cedar. Yeah, I had to think of this off of memory, but going to Cedar. I think we didn't really talk much about it, but I didn't have a good night Monday night. Charlotte, if anyone didn't see, Kiefer had a decent night. I dropped in points. I think you are now in the top 10 in points, I want to say, if you weren't already.
I've been in the top 10.
Oh, well.
Son, I was 7th last week.
You might have leapfrogged me in points then. I don't know, but
No, I dropped actually.
oh, well,
I didn't have a great night.
I think I'm 6th in points.
Yeah, you're 6th.
so-
I'm 9th now. I was 7th.
But we're going into Cedar Lake. I mean, we have 2 drop weeks for the entire season, so not too worried about it. I'm looking forward to Cedar Lake. I like Cedar, even though I haven't really made that many laps on it on this build. But yeah, that's what we got.
Yeah, I'm 3rd. I dropped in the old big block points. No, I didn't drop. I'm still 3rd though. That ain't bad.
Oh, I'm getting tired. Are we about ready to wrap this thing up?
Yeah, I think we're ready to rip.
All right, you gotta take the headset off on me. Here we go.
Here we go, chat. All right, I gotta move this seat.
Yeah, there we go. Who's that laying on the bed? Who's that laying on the bed?
The girlfriend is here, so like she had to bring our Build-A-Bear.
Ah, okay. All right. I forgot that the old lady was there. All right, here we go. First one in 2 weeks. Looked pretty solid. Lost the hat, but that's okay. Hey.
I think that one was pretty good. I landed directly on my butt.
Listen, you had 2 weeks off. I think, you looked pretty good there for having, not done that in 2 weeks, unless you've been doing that.
I will
practicing.
say East Bay put me in shape because we worked 12, 13-hour days every day, and I've never drove a race car that hard in my life, man. And
You look like you've lost a little bit of weight, I'll be honest.
I think I did, dude. It was. I'm toned. I don't mean to do that, but like I
Oh,
toned up a
God.
lot. I lost some
Where?
weight.
You're toned up where? I didn't see any.
Like, shut up. But no, I'm starting to feel good, and I don't know. I've been in a better mood. I've been trying to eat right
Yeah.
and
Instead of
get better
eating
at that,
left.
and yeah.
All right. You got anything else you want to mention, talk about before we wrap this thing up?
No, I think all I have left for everybody is peace, love, and positivity, baby.
Love that. Love that for you. All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode of the Plum Wild Podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. Thanks again to Majula C Speed Shop for sponsoring yet another episode. Don't forget to use code PLUMWILD for 15% off at checkout. It's been a long 2 weeks since the last episode. Don't worry, we got another episode coming next week. I don't see any reason why we won't have one next week. So see y'all then. Thanks for tuning in. For myself and Damian Kiefer, we'll see you right back here in the next one.